announcing the arrival of Yang Amat Berhormat Tuan Lim Guan Eng, the Right Honourable Chief Minister of Penang. Amat Berhormat Tuan Lim Guan Eng, the Right Honourable Chief Minister of Penang. Yang Berhormat Zairil Kir Johari, Executive Director of Penang Institute. Dr. Lim Kim Hua, CEO of Penang Institute. Ms. Cynthia Gabriel, Co-founder of Centre to Combat Corruption and Cronyism. Our distinguished panelists for the day, Datuk Noor Jazlan, Public Accounts Committee Chairman. Datuk Han Chirul, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Legal Advisor. Yang Berhormat Stephen Sim, Penang Institute Director. Honourable elected representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to each and every one of you. Penang Institute is proud to co-host this forum with Centre to Combat Corruption and Cronyism, entitled The Auditor General's Report, Government Audit, Formality or Accountability. With this public forum, we hope to offer new perspectives to the relevance of the annual Auditor General's Report. Most importantly, we would like to moot discussion as to why the Auditor General's Report is important and its role in good governance. My name is Zoe Chow, and I will be your MC for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you once again for your presence here today. Without further delay, I would now like to invite Yang Berhormat Zairil Kir Johari, the Executive Director of Penang Institute, to give his welcoming speech.
Yang Amat Berhormat Mr. Lim Guan Eng, Chief Minister of Penang and Chairman of Penang Institute. Yang Berhormat Datuk Noor Jazlan, MP for Pulai and also Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Han Chirul, MACC Legal Advisor, who is here to represent Tan Sri Abu Qasim, who actually fell ill today. Yang Berhormat Stephen Sim, MP for Bukit Mertajam and also Director of Penang Institute. Dr. Lim Kim Hua, our CEO. All our friends here today, members of the press, Assalamualaikum, good evening. On behalf of the Penang Institute, I would like to welcome everyone to this most important forum entitled Government Audit, Formality or Accountability, to discuss the Auditor General's report. As we're all aware, the AG's report is an annual affair released by the National Audit Department after conducting their yearly audit on federal, state government, agencies, as well as statutory bodies. And the latest report is the 2013 edition, which was tabled over 3 parts in Parliament last year. Certainly, none of us are strangers to the AG's report, and its often scandalous revelations, from overpriced clocks and scanners to extravagant claims and bonuses, to big-ticket scandals such as the infamous 250 million NFC National Feedlot Centre project, and more recently the 4.1 billion ringgit One Bestari Net project that has become a pet topic of mine in Parliament. Unfortunately, unless the scandals are large enough, such as NFC or One Bestari, the impact of the AG's report is often limited to a fortnight's worth of media headlines. After that, it would slowly dissipate and would soon be forgotten until the next report is published. It is rare that the public hears of real, punitive and corrective action taken to address the shortcomings. With that said, I would still like to note that there has been some progress on this front, especially in this parliamentary term as the new Public Accounts Committee PAC Chairman, Datuk Noor Jazlan, who is a speaker here tonight, has really taken much initiative through his role as, I wouldn't say crusader, but maybe an activist of good governance. I understand One Bestari Net will come under PAC scrutiny soon, so I look forward to contributing to that debate. However, of course, there's still much that can be done to improve the AG's report's impact, to give it more bite and to ensure that the hard work of the government auditors do not merely end up as historical records. Therefore, when Cynthia from C4 approached me at the end of last year with the idea to bring together key stakeholders to not only discuss the impact of the AG's report, but also ways to improve its effectiveness in producing more accountability and more transparency in governance, I did not hesitate to say yes. We agreed. And after all, we in Penang are particularly proud of our state government's efforts for striving for good governance and rule of law since taking over in 2008. Of course, under the stewardship of our CM, Penang has shown that good governance in the form of transparent and accountable public institutions is necessary not only to plug leakages and produce efficiency, but also to combat the plague of corruption that has become endemic to Malaysian governance. And as our CM will no doubt elaborate a bit more later, our state's efforts in institutionalizing international best practices such as open tenders, public declaration of assets, the freedom of information enactment and so on have paid off in the form of yearly budget surpluses, record investments, both domestic and foreign, and even more significantly, reduced inequality. Our Gini coefficient in Penang, which measures the degree of income inequality of a given population, has actually been declining since 2008 from 0.42 to 0.37. As a result of inter alia, our state government's anti-corruption dividend policy that redistributes government savings to the underprivileged. So this positive correlation between good governance and socio-economic development has led Penang Institute to take a keen academic interest on this issue. That's why in 2012, we organized the ASEAN Coalition for Clean Governance Conference, featuring former Thai Prime Minister Abhisit Wejajiva, former Indonesian Audit Chief Anwar Nasution, former President of Transparency International Malaysia, and who is now a Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Paul Loh, and other practitioners and specialists in the field. The purpose of the conference was to compare stories as well as to discuss mechanisms and enabling factors of good governance. We later followed that up by hosting a special lecture on the same subject by former Indonesian President B.J. Habibie. So our interest in this topic continues with tonight's forum, featuring prominent speakers representing various important stakeholders such as Datuk Han Chirul from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, who is representing Tan Sri Abu Qasim, as I said, Datuk Nur Jazlan, the chairman of our PAC and third-term MP for Pulai, as well, of course, our Penang Institute board member, Stephen Sim. And to moderate the session is Cynthia, who is a human rights activist and the founder of the C4, Center for Combating Corruption and Cronyism, an explosive new NGO dedicated to tackling corruption and promoting good governance. Pardon the pun. Allow me to end by conveying my appreciations to Cynthia and the C4 team, as well as the team at Penang Institute, for putting together everything tonight. So we hope that today's evening will be fruitful, today's discussion will be fruitful and controversial. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Zairil. Next, I would like to invite Yang Amat Berhormat Tuan Lim Guan Eng to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you. Yang Berhormat Zairil K. Johari, the Executive Director of Penang Institute, Datuk Nur Jazlan, the Chairman of the Malaysian Parliamentary Accounts Committee, Datuk Han Chirul, the MACC Legal Advisor, Yang Berhormat Stephen Sim, the Member of Parliament for Bukit Mentajam, the CEO of Penang Institute, Dr. Lim Kim Hua, all elected representatives, Cynthia Gabriel, the moderator, as well, of course, the members of the audience who are with us today for this important forum. First, let me wish everyone Selamat Malam and Salam Bersih. And of course, when I talk about Salam Bersih, this is what the Auditor General report is supposed to promote. And unfortunately, even though he has been promoting it for the last 50 odd years, but we are still very far away from being bersih. But I'm pleased to be here this evening to officiate this forum, jointly organized by the Penang Institute and C4, the Center to Combat Corruption and Cronyism, entitled Government Audit, Formality or Accountability. Although this is Penang Institute's maiden event on the annual Auditor General's report, it is a very important issue that is, I think, the Malaysian public is much familiar with. And I had a short conversation with Dr. Noor Jaslan, and he confirms that this is the first time that the Penang state government is organizing a public forum. And also the first time any state government is doing a public forum on the Auditor General's report. So if that's the case, I think we have to continue making this effort and try to make this as an annual event. Now, the Penang state government firmly believes that the public deserves a clean, effective, and transparent governance. And this forum is a great opportunity to shed some light onto the findings of the latest Auditor General's Report 2013. Through our principles of competency, accountability, and transparency, the Penang state government, of course, fully supports the national audit process. We believe that checks and balances are vital in the promotion of good governance, and we commend the National Audit Department and Auditor General's commitment in carrying out this sacrosanct duty professionally. However, the National Audit Department should not be reactive in detecting weaknesses that causes wastage, inefficiency, or malpractices, and even corruption. It should, instead of being reactive, be proactive by conducting audits on the first sign of trouble in government agencies before losses are suffered. In this regard, I am sure PAC has also followed closely the AG's reports, and has pointed out by Zariel they have made a sterling effort, except probably for one minor issue, and that is the failure to investigate one MDB. Satu Malaysia dalam bahaya. And why is it Satu Malaysia dalam bahaya? I'm sure you know about the 42 billion ringgit in debts incurred by one MDB, and perhaps this is one area where public interest is clear, and we need to have assurances that our funds are safe. I think I'll leave that for other comments later. Now, we are also proud of Penang Pakatan Rakyat State Government's record with regards to the Auditor General's report since 2008. In stark contrast to the usually abysmal findings in the audit of federal ministries and other states, Penang has maintained a stellar record. Commendations have been accorded to the state government for its clean, efficient, and transparent governance, not only by the annual Auditor General's report, but also by international watchdogs such as Transparency International. We are proud to be lauded as amongst the best managed and most efficient state administrators in Malaysia every year since 2008. In the latest 2013 report, Penang saw its revenue collection rise by 27.4%, as compared to the federal government's 2.6%. Now, this growth in revenue collection, in percentage terms, is observed to be the highest in the nation. Even the Prime Minister's home state of Pahang saw a decrease in revenue collection by 2.2%. In 2013, Penang managed to achieve a budget surplus of 1.3 million ringgit, despite tabling a deficit budget of 262 million ringgit, continuing PR's record of a budget surplus every year since we took over in 2008. From 2008 to 2013, budget surpluses amounts to 453 million ringgit over 6 years, with the largest surplus in Penang's history of 138 million recorded in 2011 alone. So over 6 years, the budget surpluses of 453 million have exceeded all the budget surpluses recorded over the previous 50 years. The previous 50 years before 2008 from 1957 to 2007, the budget surpluses amounted to 373 million. But over the last 6 years alone, from 2008 to 2013, Penang's accumulated budget surpluses amounted to 453 million. So for those who claim that we have recorded budget deficits every year, it is simply not true. And our budget surpluses are also verified by the Auditor General himself. Our finances also grow stronger. In 2013, our consolidated fund reached 1.29 billion ringgit, an increase of 99.85 million ringgit in 2013 alone. Now, this is an increase if you look at the total amount since 2008. This is an increase that has been an increase of 445 million ringgit. When we first became the government in March the 8th, 2008, the consolidated fund amounted to 847 million, but has since increased by 445 million over the 6-year period. As for our state departments and government agencies, 8 of them, or 53.3%, were rated as excellent, whilst the other 7 were rated as good. In other words, all our department or government agencies of the Penang state government was rated as either good or excellent. 2 agencies stand out. The State Treasury Department and the Penang Development Corporation was rated excellent for 6 years continuously from 2008 to 2013. It's also interesting to note that whilst the AG report mentioned that as of 31st December 2013, only 58.3% of an approved allocation was spent, Penang has managed to complete 98.4% of the planned projects. This indicates that the state government has actually spent less but achieved much more. So even though the approved allocation was higher, but we managed to spend only 58.3% due to financial prudence and of course transparent procedures. But despite the lower amount spent, the planned projects were completed at a rate of 98.4%. So lower cost, much lower cost, but still almost full completion. This clearly shows that financial prudence complemented by effective delivery and the reliance of open competitive tender system promotes transparency and competency, of course, brings about direct benefits, not just in completion of the projects, but much reduced costs. As far as the federal government is concerned, the AG's report 2013 has highlighted multiple failings, especially in the area of implementation. 91.1% of the programs, activities, and projects encountered issues of inefficiency, non-compliance of regulations such as non-compliance of specs, work that was not of acceptable quality, unreasonable delays, poor acquisition and management of contracts, as well as poor maintenance of government assets. And this is something that is of concern. 91.1% of federal government's projects were problematic. Furthermore, the financial performance of federal departments were rated by the AG's report as not encouraging. There is actually a decline in performance in 2013, as only 21 out of 45 departments, or 46.7%, were rated as excellent, as compared to 54% in 2012 and 50% in 2011. Unlike the Penang State Government that opted for an open competitive tender system, the AG Report 2013 revealed that some federal government projects will still dispense via direct negotiations, which is often associated with cronyism and wastage of public funds. For example, the 343.5 million ringgit Paya Perda Dam project in Besut Terengganu, a project by the Ministry of Agriculture, was awarded through direct negotiations, but as of July 2013 was found to be behind schedule, and problems of non-compliance, substandard contractors and improper payments have emerged. And there's also the case of scandal-ridden entities with dubious and alleged massive liabilities that were not looked at by the AG's department. I mean, apart from one NDB, we are also perplexed why there was no sufficient follow-up to prevent other scandals such as the Portland Free Trade Zone scandal. Even though this was mentioned, I think mentioned in passing by some AG reports. The question all Malaysians are asking is, with leakages after leakages and scandals after scandals that have been exposed by the AG reports, is the audit process itself effective to curb weak and often dishonest fiscal management of the government, or is it only a mere formality? This forum must attempt to address that, especially with the presence of an honoured guest from not only from the PAC but also the MACC. And of course, we want to know what action is taken by MACC on those exposés made by the AG's report. The fact is that there is a lack of political will from the federal government to plug these leakages of public funds or to recoup these losses. Structural weaknesses in fiscal and project management have not been corrected, and conduct bordering on abuse of power and corruption are left unaddressed. The federal government appears not to be hungry enough to expose corruption, but unfortunately hungry for more corruption. We hope to see a white knight in the Attorney General to slay the vampire of corruption before these vampires suck the nation's financials dry. As for the MACC, many are still wondering, when is MACC going to step up and be like Hong Kong ICAC instead of being a mere shadow of itself? As you know, I just landed from a business trip to Hong Kong, and when we talk to businessmen, many are in fear, including the government, are in fear of ICAC. It's in Hokkien. I mean, this is nothing personal against Dato' Han, but in Hokkien, sometimes we always say in Hong Kong you have ICAC. In Penang, we wonder whether it's IC Bo Si. No, not just the excesses exposed in the AG's reports, but the MACC has failed to answer serious issues of public accountability on scandals ranging from the extraordinary wealth of former Sarawak Chief Minister's family, the 1MDB and PKFZ saga, or most important of all, the 1.4 trillion ringgit in illicit funds flowing out of our country from 2003 to 2013. Now, 1.4 trillion is a massive, humongous amount. If divided amongst 28 million Malaysians, it will come up to around 50,000 ringgit each. That means for every one of you, you would have lost 50,000 ringgit for the period from 2003 to 2013. Are we going to lose another 50,000 each before MACC acts? Culprits are often able to escape with impunity. Out of the 175 civil servants implicated in financial wrongdoings by the AG's report 2012, only one was sacked, even though 85 were found guilty, according to the Chief Secretary of the government. A number of them were referred for further disciplinary action, but it will appear that such actions have not deterred further excesses and abuses from happening. What about KLIA-2 terminal? KLIA-2 terminal ballooned from initial cost of 1.6 billion ringgit to 4 billion ringgit. Why not press for public declaration of assets of government leaders as practiced by the Penang State government, which is a norm in many corrupt-free countries? And I'm sure the MACC is certainly in a better position than me to respond to such concerns. I was quite struck by an integrity pledge signed by the Sarawak Chief Minister, the new Sarawak Chief Minister, not the old one, together with the Minister of Transparency. What's his name? Yeah, sometimes you forget his name already. It's too transparent sometimes, you know. Now, what is the use of signing an integrity pledge that you will declare your assets, but not publicly, only to the Sarawak Chief Minister? That means all ministers in Sarawak publicly declare your assets, yes, but not publicly. Publicly declare your assets only to the Chief Minister. Who does the Chief Minister declare assets to? Of course, you say, I put it to the Prime Minister. But the point is, when you talk about public accountability, it is not only to the Prime Minister or to the Chief Minister. It is to the public at large. Otherwise, I think this integrity pledge is not worth the paper it is written on. And in that regard, we ask Paulo not to go through that charade. I think it is a charade. An exercise in futility. Signing an integrity pledge which has no public standing and has no credibility because it is not made public. In Penang, government ministers, state government ministers, as well as the Chief Minister can publicly declare our assets. Why can that not be done or adopted by Paulo when he had been talking about that previously? Of course, that was before he became a minister. Now, good and effective management of public finance is vital, as a clean and transparent government will provide a fair and enabling environment for business to thrive, while safeguarding the interests and welfare of the rakyat. For instance, open competitive tenders allows government not only to save funds at the initial capital expenditure stage, but also at the operating expenditure stage when carrying out regular maintenance. The initial capex selected by open tender at the best price and best quality would have a double bonus of reducing maintenance costs when it is done well at the beginning. Shoddy construction invariably leads to higher maintenance costs. For example, just a road. If it is done badly, cutting corners, instead of 13.5 inches, it is probably 6 inches or 7 inches of all the necessary materials. In no time at all. Sometimes immediately after the road is built, you find a lot of potholes growing on the road. But if it's done well, then it will last. And then that means savings in maintenance costs. And somehow I feel, I think this is borne out by the AG's reports, that the maintenance costs more than the initial capital expenditure over the long run. So if we have open competitive tenders, not only do you get the best price, but also good quality. And many years down the road, your maintenance costs will be much reduced. On the other hand, a government facing massive public funds leakages will instead enable crony capitalism, inefficient service delivery, reduced investment in public goods, and widespread corruption. In such conditions, poverty and inequality will rise as those with political connections and vested interests are more likely to succeed. Businesses will be deprived of fair play condition, whilst the funds earmarked for social services are siphoned off for other purposes, either through legal or illegal means. And we talk about the illicit flow of funds. It is actually very depressing. 50,000 per Malaysian citizen. And we are actually ranked number 4 in the world in terms of illicit funds outflow. Actually, we are not number 4. We are world champion. Why? Because the 3 countries above us have larger populations. Countries such as China, India, Russia. On a per capita basis, Malaysia is the undisputed world champion for illicit funds outflow. Congratulations to everyone. Now, on the other hand, we have demonstrated that prudent management of state coffers does not lead to deprivation of public goods or even social welfare, but instead enables the funding of these social projects. We have provided free rapid Penang bus services, not only in the inner city, but also across Penang Bridge. We have our golden welfare programs in the form of cash aid for senior citizens, single mothers, housewives, the disabled, university students, rickshaw pullers, fishermen and students. We have also implemented the Equitable Economic Agenda Scheme, what we call the Agenda Economic Saksama, AES, to ensure that there are no households that have income below the poverty line. In Malaysia, the poverty line indicator is 790 ringgit per month per household. And under this AES scheme, any family that earns a monthly income less than 790 ringgit, they will get assistance from the state government, who will top up the difference. So if, for instance, the household earns 600 ringgit a month, the government, the state government, will top up 190 ringgit every month, so that they will at least get 790 ringgit a month. I know it is not much, but at least this is something that we can do to assist. And it goes a long way for those families, especially for the children, those with children, that they can at least survive another day. And hopefully through education, they can try to break out of the vicious poverty cycle. And if we can do that, I'm sure the federal government has more funds, much funds at its disposal, to be able to do a similar effort nationwide, so that we can wipe out not just hardcore poverty, we can wipe out hardcore poverty within 5 years. Now, we spend more than 10 million for this project, nearly 20 million. And since 2008, the state government has spent 287 million ringgit for these direct cash aid programs. And this does not include infrastructure projects that are actually done by the state government. In fact, in terms of development projects on infrastructure, whether they are roads, drainage, green parks, the state government has spent 50% more than the previous state government, which of course the previous state government did not have this golden cash aid program such as practiced by the present state government. So 287 million in cash aid distributed to the public, and this year we are allocating 117 million ringgit, which amounts to nearly 12% of our annual budget. And again, this 12% in direct cash aid to Penang Knights, I think is the largest amount given, or the largest percentage in budgetary terms given by any state government in Malaysia. Now, all this has been made possible due to anti-corruption dividends earned by practicing CAT governance. And this is why the AG's report must not be treated as a formality, but instead be given due attention to improve governance for the rakyat. I believe that there is no substitute for good governance. I believe passionately that when you talk about inequality, it is colorblind. The color of inequality is colorblind. And if you look at the Gini coefficient, the Gini coefficient for Malaysia is 0.42. For Penang, our Gini coefficient is 0.37. Again, the lowest in Malaysia. We need, of course, to put much effort into it, but I believe that if we have a clean administration, I think the Gini coefficient will be amongst the indicators to improve. So without further ado, I hereby formally announce the opening of this forum, and I wish to thank everyone and of course the distinguished speakers for agreeing to attend this forum facing the intellectual Penang public present. And let us give not only Dato' Noh Jaslan but also Dato' Han for agreeing to come and be the speaker for this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat. Now, I would like to welcome our moderator for today, Ms. Cynthia Gabriel, up on stage to facilitate the discussion. The stage is all yours. Thank you.